Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of A Cup of CX, Brewing Insights with Global Leaders, powered by ClueTrack. We welcome you to another episode of A Cup of CX. For those of you who don't know ClueTrack is a customer experience analytics platform that helps brands to understand the why behind customer experience. I'm Manuel, and I will be the host today. And with me today, we have an interesting CX leader who has over 25 years of experience in the automobile industry. Considering this is our third episode, we had great back-to-back two episodes with interesting CX leaders with Ledi Lepai and Farhan Niaz in the past. And today, we warmly welcome Elisabeth Sanchez from Nissan Motor Corporation. Welcome to the show, Elisabeth.
It's a pleasure being here. Thanks so much for the invitation.
Amazing. To get this started, why don't you give us a quick introduction about yourself?
Well, as you say, I'm quite old in the experience in automotive. I've been there for more than 25 years. I've most of my experience is in marketing, omnichannel, I know everything related with communication events, but I've also have some experience in sales and in quality. And I have worked for several groups. So it's for Volkswagen Group. I have worked also for Continental in Germany for 2 years. And now I'm in Nissan.
Wonderful. Welcome to the show again, Elizabeth. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you.
Now, you've had various kinds of experience. You started with, advertising, marketing, CRM. But what stuck and what helped you move to, be part of the CX community? And how did you join the CX community in the first place?
Well, I have been, as I told you, several years working for the communication departments in several brands. I have been always very passionate about the customer as an entity, more than maybe, I shouldn't say that, but more in the customer rather than in the car itself. And that has brought me always to wonder and to question how could we work better for the customer. Whenever I talk about customer, I not only relate to the final one, but I also relate to any customer, understanding someone who I'm going to deliver value to. That might be another department, that might be my headquarters, that might be a company, a final company, or that might be even my department. So whenever I have tried to understand where were the pains of this customer and how could I solve it, I think that has been somehow my pole star for wanting to work with CX. And even though I have been, as I told you, in sales and in quality, I have always tried not to forget how should I articulate my value delivery in this sense.
Wonderful. Now, you also spend a lot of time in CX, but you
Yes.
also are very, very, in terms of working closely with omnichannel strategy as well. You are at a very interesting cross
Yes.
junction. But being a CX leader for many years right now, tell us one, challenge that you faced, and how did you go about tackling it?
I would say that in general, whenever you are involved with customer experience, probably there are other areas or aspects in the company that you have to be also not, I would say, concerned, but I would be involved as well. And customer experience is very, very involved with what I say, for example, the change management. Whenever we want to put the customer in the middle and we want to tackle his pains or their pains, that might always have an impact on the way the organization is organized and how we deliver the value. So this pain analysis should bring us to a reflection on how are we delivering the value and how are we organized to do that. So probably this is a good point of analysis and of mindset impact into the organization and to see how should we change, how should we adapt to these new needs or these pending pains that haven't been solved. And in terms of what have been one of my challenges, I would say that probably culture and mindset has been one of my, I would say, challenges. And probably as a consequence of that, I have always tried to battle what I call the legends in the companies. The so-called legends, it's anything that starts with the sentence, this has been always so, or we have always done things like that. I have always tried to question the why whenever I have looked at the pain, and then I have tried to understand why things were done in a determinate way, right?
Understood. Thank you so much. You know, I also wanted to keenly understand your journey, right? I mean, how did you get into CX at Nissan? What were some of the challenges? What were some of the battles that you have to encounter? Because uh, you've been there for quite some time, 17 and a half years, but you started in marketing and advertising. How did the CX actually evolve in terms of your profession, and how did this journey arrive for you?
Hmm. As I was telling you, there has been always let us say, an interest field for me. I have always tried to be very close to this customer understanding and customer understood in this wide approach. When I was, as I was telling you, for example, in sales or in care, in quality, I have also tried, as I was telling you, to see how we were doing our job and how well we were responding to the needs. So whenever in any position I have been, I have always been questioning myself and the organization about why we were doing things in a determined way. And in fact, when I was in training, that was a time ago, I had the opportunity to attend an MBA in digital business. And that gave me the opportunity to rethink a lot about the way, as I was telling you, the way we work, the work processes were defined. And from that point on, even though it was not in the position of CX itself, I was in relationship with more than 4,000 people because that was our network. Salesmen and technicians and owners. So from that point on, I could really make a deep dive on certain questions that I had about how we were managing the customer process, how should be understood the gap between what the OEM does and when we deliver a lead, for example, to a dealer, how this experience, how this transfer, how smooth is it? One thing that, for example, it's important into the automotive sector is that we have a customer journey which is split within a lot of stakeholders. And by stakeholders, I mean, for example, the network, right? Who are facing at the end of the day the final customer and accompanying him for a very long time. You have to think that, for example, in Spain, the average life for a customer is about around 12 years in automotive. So that provides the dealer with a lot of opportunities to get in touch with this customer, but not from the OEM. Another important stakeholder in our case is also the financial services, as they have a crucial role in certain milestones along the customer journey. So those have been one of the biggest challenges I have faced. First, to demystify certain legends. Secondly, to try to work in a very transversal way with those other stakeholders. And then probably one big other challenge I would add, it's probably how to define a proper governance between central headquarters and, in my case, local RBUs. By local, I mean national or for certain countries, okay? The governance is very complex. The decision taking and the assumption about who is going to contact the customer when, with what message, it's not that obvious. So probably this is one of the biggest, I would say, difficulties in our sector to face.
Understood. Thank you so much, Elspeth. Uh, in continuation with what you spoke right now, we've had, Lady Lapai in the first
Yeah.
episode, your friend, and she comes from the banking industry. We had Farah Niaz in the last episode, who is a world-renowned CX leader, who also comes from banking and fintech industry. You come from automobile industry, right?
Yes.
Uh, does customer experience differ from industry to industry? And if so, what does from an automobile customer experience perspective, what are some of your pros and cons, if I may ask?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I mean, every sector has its, I would say, customized customer experience process. But probably we face basically probably some concerns or some paths of improvement. I would say that probably one of the most repetitive ones is the silos approach we have in the organizations, and how we can break it and how we can help or support the organization to move towards a more transversal orientation. At the end of the day, we produce cars, and
Yeah.
the factory method it's still present in the way that we can sometimes approach. I always say, for example, that I would love to change the name of the departments, because the name of our departments as an organization are referred to our product. So it's the sales of the car, the after sales of the car, the
Yeah.
quality of the car. I would love to change, for example, because I think
Sure.
that names are powerful, and positions, the naming of the positions is very powerful to help people in what I was telling you, in to change the culture and to change the way that you have been approaching your job, your delivery of value during the years. Customer experience is going to be the topic in the coming years. We are in a very convulsed market. So sector is just experiencing lots of changes, not only from the technological point of view. We have now new competitors arriving with a very different way to work from, let's say, the traditional OEMs. Um, Artificial intelligence, it's there as well. But at the same time, we still need to protect very basic, I would say, processes. As I was telling you, that the
Yeah.
digital gap between the OEM and the dealer, it's still, I would say, not 100% solved. So between all these, I would say, chaos or this bunny environment where we live, we need really to think first. I would say, if I had to tackle just one thing, into this transversal approach along the organizations, that would be
Absolutely.
probably where we all sectors share the pain.
Absolutely. I think I'll come back to you with some interesting questions around AI and also electric vehicles. But
Okay.
you also, kind of manage omni-channel strategy as
Yes.
well. So why is a seamless omni-channel experience today crucial for brands in current scenario?
First of all, let's put into commas the seamless, because it's very difficult to have this seamless experience whenever you have so many stakeholders in a such long period of time of relationship with one customer. Okay, we try to do our best, but for sure, the omni-channel approach or experience that I have helps me understand also. First of all, that even though it's well known, and I'm not going to discover you any rocket in right now, um, customer is the king, and customer decides
Hmm.
how he wants to get in relationship with you, where he wants to be contacted, through which channel. And I think the big challenge is there to be able to customize and to understand the reality of this customer among all the others. Sometimes the brands, the automotive brands, have difficulty to identify a customer that maybe has already bought you 4 vehicles before, because in terms of system integration, the dealer systems with the OEM systems are not sharing at the end of this recognition of the customer. So I might come as someone who knows the brand for 20 years, and maybe if that it happens, I could be exposed to the same communication as a person who has never been in touch with our brand. So that's for me something that's why it's so important to establish collaboration between the different stakeholders, meaning mostly the dealers in this case and the brand, in order to understand that first of all we need to customize the messages. Second, the customer is the king, and he's going to decide through which channel and with which frequency he wants to be contacted. And third, we need to provide him with relevant information, with valuable information, not only the topics we want to talk him about. And basically, usually the communication plans are based on the what we call the moments of truth, but not of the customer, but of the product. Meaning, we deliver the car has 1 year, now he has to go through the workshop, he has 2 years, he has 3 years, and in fitting there the real needs or wishes of the customer, it's not that obvious or easy.
Got it. Wonderful. Now, every company says that they are customer centric, every company says that they want to delight their customers, right? But when it comes to a question of investing in technologies, uh, investing in solutions and then training them, then suddenly we see that these solutions from a CX perspective, it's more nice to have than must have, right? While I know we are at the cusp of evolution of CX analytics, we are at the cusp of customer experience analytics as such. In your experience, how did you get a nod, yes, from your boardroom, from your leaders, to go ahead and invest in customer experience, uh, go ahead and get those analysis done, or uh, get some analytic tools or softwares included in your scope?
I'm very lucky because I think I have an organization who is really concerned about how to provide technology to the organization in order to deliver it at the same time to the customer. But we don't like, and we don't do it in our product as well, to deliver technology just for free, in the sense of everything that we do, it has to have a sense, a purpose for the customer or for the employees. And I'm afraid I have seen many organizations, not in my case, but I have seen sometimes many organizations that, maybe you know any case, that have fallen in love with the technology. And somehow there has been the misunderstanding that the technology would solve any problem existing in the organization. And in this case, I think that we are lucky because we are cautious enough to understand that the first step necessary to consider technology, it's first to understand the people who is going to work with this technology and to understand the maturity they have. So that first you need to provide with the training and with the support on the people, and they have to understand the purpose of those technologies that you are proposing them to use. Secondly, you have to adapt the processes in which these technologies are going to be used. And only then, when you have this vision and this comprehension, is the time to decide which technology is the most suitable in your case. I always have a very automotive example, if you allow me, which is that, for example, there might be someone who might buy a Ferrari for bringing the kids to the school.
Yeah.
And maybe you get in love with a Ferrari because it's a wonderful model, but probably it's not the most suitable car in terms of comfort for bringing kids to school. And I think something very similar happens with the technology. We might fall in love, as we might misunderstand that it's going to solve any problem. But if we haven't gone through a very deep analysis in terms of the SWOT of the company, the digital maturity, the capabilities of the team, and you haven't prepared them and communicate the purpose of the introduction of this technology, and you haven't prepared them for using it, then is when customer success gets in, and you can find there huge investments in technology with huge failures in terms of customer success. So in this sense, I think that one of the most sensible ways to approach technology is having worked on these previous steps before.
Wonderful. We have a question from one of our participants, and that takes us very closely to what we spoke a while back about AI. So, Ismail is asking, how does artificial intelligence affect customer experience?
Well, artificial intelligence should be one of the supporters or the enablers of this customization I was telling you about before. Okay, we have now a lot of tools related to text, to voice, to image that could help us to customize the experience of those customers. But I would say that before that, probably we need to fully understand who the customer is. And for that, we need to have a deep knowledge about our data lake of customers, a good segmentation. I think that we companies never spend enough time talking about data quality.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, obvious. And sometimes you find, for example, certain processes in companies where one department, I'm going to put examples from my area of expertise, one department might have the objective of getting thousands of leads, advertising, but on the other hand, CRM department just receives bulk and has absolutely no quality for converting these leads into orders. So artificial intelligence for anything related to the deployment of a communication plan, it's wonderful. And there are many thoughts, and I think we should all begin to make little tests in this sense. There are some of them which are not fully deployed or fully landed, but I think it can give you a taste about what we're going to find in the market in the coming years. But I wouldn't ever forget the basics. And the basics are much more into the preparation of the data, for being able to analyze it properly, in being sure that the data is well preserved and well segmented, making a good understanding of the data, and only then understanding how you want to apply certain automatizations of content, for example, to whom in which moment.
Absolutely. I think I completely agree to what you said. AI should be the enabler, right? AI can help you with a lot of maybe computation, giving you insights, but ultimately you need to have that human touch. You
Correct.
shouldn't
Absolutely.
kind of take over the emotional piece that humans have with another human. So definitely, I kind of agree to what you said, AI to be an enabler. We also have another interesting question from Jinson. Jinson is asking, what's the potential impact of AR and VR on customer experience?
I think it has a huge potential, mostly for what I call the consideration part of the customer journey. Okay, whenever you have a customer that it's considering your brand, considering one of your models in a short list, and sometimes, at least in Europe, what we are facing is that every time more, it's more and more difficult that someone jumps from the digital to the physical, meaning he aims to get into one dealer. Why? Well,
Right.
because in fact, they have already found a lot of information in internet, because they have got the opportunity to read a lot of blogs or forums, or listen to people who have already testimonials of people who have already bought the car. So at the end of the day, whenever they get into the dealer, they know that they are going to be, let me use a very informal expression, to be chastened by the salesmen. Okay, and that's something that it's not that comfortable. That people would maybe like to extend this digital relation. I think it's important to keep this physical relationship, and for me, the best formula in a customer experience for automotive, it's the hybrid. I'm never going to say you, I think that we only have to work into the digital or all in the physical. We have to combine. And as I was telling you before, the customer is the king, so he's going to decide how he wants
Right.
to have the relation with you. Coming back to the AR and VR, for me, the retail is the place where we have to reinvent the experience. As I was telling you, as the customer gets into the dealer with a lot of information already, we cannot pretend him to go through the traditional processes of showing the car and explaining the car in the way we have done it before, because probably a lot of the concepts that we're going to explain are already known by the customer. In this sense, for me, the retail has to become a wow place, a place where you deliver him experiences that he can only find there. And AR and VR in this sense has a lot to say. I think, for example, there are opportunities to provide with driving experiences in the retail without having to get into the car, for example. You can provide with a lot of details, not only of the cars that you have in the showroom, but you have a lot of other colors or other upholstery that you want to show, and maybe you don't have space enough. So you can provide a lot of not only product experience, but also brand experience through AR and VR in the retail or in any experiential that the brand deploys. Motor shows, events, activities, test drives, any place where you can find customers in real. I hope I
Absolutely.
explained it clearly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, again, completely agree to what you mentioned from a retail perspective. We need to reinvent. We need to always look with some innovative lens, right, so that we can give great experience to customers.
Exactly.
Now
And
on
that's
that.
what you were saying. Sorry to interrupt. But as you were saying, that's what makes omnichannel so complicated. Because omnichannel is not about only choosing the channels that are more profitable for the brand. It's
Sure.
letting the customer have all the opportunities and all the channels open so that he decides which path does he want to follow. But of course, that brings a lot of complexity in terms of providing this seamless experience that you were mentioning before.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. On that note, can you share one success story around CX that you have experienced? Maybe this will benefit all the audience who are listening to us right now.
Mhm. I always like to explain stories that are not revolutionary, that are evolutionary. Things that probably, if you all think about your own organizations, you will see that there are quick wins that are very easy to think about and to implement. I will explain you, for example, one case where I got and I was in training again, and I was very curious about one result that I was seeing within the customer satisfaction surveys, because I was seeing that there were a lot of customers that came a second time to the dealer once they had already got their car. And I wasn't understanding why. Why were they coming once when they had already had the presentation of the car, the delivery of the car, and they were already driving it? So why they were coming back? And then I discovered there were a lot of them that had doubts in relation to the connected services. Okay, there were some functionalities that it wasn't clear for them about how to use them. And it's true that in the delivery moment of a car, there are so many things to be explained or reviewed that probably at certain point it's too much information. On top of that, you have to sign a lot of papers with the financials. So probably there we are delivering too much information. I would say that asking to salesmen, making surveys to customers, I really got a much more deep, full analysis on what was the pain in that case, and I also tried to get a deeper understanding on the call center reports. Okay, because at the end of the day, whenever a customer has to come back to a workshop or to a dealer, that it's money for him and time for him, but also for the salesman or for the workshop. And as we understood that the problem was with the connectivity, we began to deep dive there. And we saw that sometimes what happened is that there were cars in the showroom where the connected systems were not connected. And that's why, and the why for that reason was that the guarantee provided for the customer was being diminished if we connected those cars before being sold. So salesmen tried to explain it, whether in the test drive, but sometimes not explained into the showroom with the deepness that maybe the customer needed. It's also true that that was one of the topics, and the second topic was how to split one key milestone with this delivery, how to split it or to break it into several moments. Maybe there was information that could be also sent per email or explained into a video and was not necessary to be explained into the same moment of the delivery. And that brought me to see that, for example, if we supported to the dealers with the payment of the warranty during these months that the car was exhibited, probably there won't be this fear about connecting the car in the showroom. We also provided them with additional software to explain in a very easy way to the customer the way that the connectivity was working. And on top of that, we also produced some videos that were already available at the website. So many of these doubts were already solved. And then we perceived that the visits were diminishing in a very, very amount. Okay, we were talking about more than the half. We achieved to diminish in a 50% the total seconds visits, just because we provided with some solutions and tools in other moments of the customer journey. Okay. And for me, that was a success because this is not revolutionary. If you see, I haven't done anything special, but I just tried to get this transversal view on where were some key sources that were in touch with the customer, where I could get more information. And then from there, I tried to get this not one-to-one an approach in the analysis of the call center. I review also the web page to see how easy it was to understand the connectivity topic in the modules of the web page. I provided with extra content, and I tried to break a little bit the process to make it easier for the customer. That's for me one very interesting approach about a very easy, I would say, thing to do, which is a quick win, an immediate quick win for the customer with no big investment, if you see.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. On the contrary, can you share something surprising, challenging that you encountered? Maybe something that you learned from the customer's behavior.
Yes. For example, trying to let me say break the traditional process of managing the customer experience. You know that, for example, whenever you want to buy a car, first you probably get some information through the webs and you visit certain forums or you listen to certain podcasts related to the cars. You visit maybe some, you read some magazines, and then you get a certain idea. What happened in our, for example, lead management process was that it was just thought for whoever was coming to ask information for a car. There were only two possibilities established. It was first, I want to visit the dealer, or I want to try a car, to drive a car. Okay, which is obvious. I mean, it's a good approach, but probably there were people that at this moment where they were facing already these kind of forms, for example, in a lead ad or visiting the web, they weren't exactly in this maturity moment. They just wanted more information, but with no compromise on having to go to a dealer or having already to drive a car. So with my team, what we have developed is what we call the long-term process for the leads, meaning people who are already interested in our brand, but maybe they are not ready to buy in the expected time, which is about 3-4 months from the moment that you are getting this information collected. Okay. With them, what we have tried to develop, it's a plan on providing him progressive information related to their concerns or their interests on one model, but without pushing to the sales, because we understand that this person, for any reason, just needs more time to get to the consideration phase. We are still in the familiarity and considering our brand among others. So we understand that the better we manage this lead nurturing, the more possibilities we have that this person at the end of the day, when he's mature for getting into the consideration phase, will consider us into the basket. For me, this is also a very, if you want, very easy example, but sometimes we are so focused on the conversion that we forget that the maturity, and that is also related to the customization we were talking about before, not everyone is ready at the same time just because in a process we have written it down in this way. Okay, so we need to be flexible enough to provide other alternatives to the customer so that we do not lose him in the path just because we haven't provided him with the alternative he wants to hear. Okay.
That's very profound. I think it's very interesting what you guys have done. There are a lot of questions that's coming our way, but I'm going to pick this up. Very interesting question from Arti Gar. Arti is asking, how is CX approached at Nissan for pre-purchase versus during purchase versus post-purchase phases?
How it's approached? Well, as I was telling you, it's a very long way what we're talking about, because as in average, I was saying it's 12 years, the 3 phases he's considering here. And even you should consider the pre-phase, when that it's even not the pre-purchase, but the awareness phase. So when someone doesn't know who we are, and then he just gets introduced to us through a TV spot or any event. Okay, so even there's another pre-phase before the one that he's mentioning. Basically, of course, as I was telling you, you have different stakeholders. I would say that in the pre-phase, the strategical approach, it's managed completely by the OEM. Okay, there we are the ones managing basically the big flow of leads, managing the navigation through our assets in order to provide the proper information to the lead. In the moment of conversion, this is this mixed reality between the 3 stakeholders, so the finance services, the dealer, and ourselves. And probably the third phase, the post-purchase or the loyalty phase, we would say, this is very, very in the hands of the dealer up to the end, in the renewal phase, where, of course, the financial services and ourselves again come back to try to return this customer to the very beginning of the customer journey. So 3 phases. First phase, basically mostly on our shoulders, I would say, on the OEMs, plus of course a little bit of the dealers and the support of the financial services to provide the correct offers. The second one, where we all 3 converge, The third one mostly in the hands of the dealer and the financial and us, but only at the very end.
Wonderful. During our last episode, one of the suggestions that came in for the CX leaders from Paran, who is also a renowned CX leader, was to uh, continue to do this mystery shopping, right? So here is a question from Samin Zan asking, does Nissan CX perform mystery shopping to validate the level of service at other countries? Basically, to benchmark services, to benchmark quality, to benchmark customer
Yes,
satisfaction.
of
Do you
course.
guys do mystery
Of course
shopping?
we do. Of course we do, and this is just one of the reference we have to take into account. But I would say that probably I'm more keen not only to see the mystery shoppings, because this is not only to send people to the mystery shoppings. We think that we all have to be mystery shoppers at a certain moment in our brand to really understand the healthy of the process. But as I was telling you, there are many other sources that I would also look at in order to see, to try to measure this health I was telling you. For me, the call center reports are crucial. The whole verbatings from social media and from the web are crucial. And from these three sources, plus certain focus done with customers, plus certain interviews or surveys done or meetings done with salesmen, for example, from there you can take really powerful information. If you on top have the mystery shoppings, it's fine. But for me, the most powerful sources are the ones that I have been telling you, where I get in touch directly with the whatever who is the technicians, the salesman, the customer itself, or when I just read what he's telling me, because this is, I think, very important. Sometimes we do not provide importance enough to what the customers are telling to us through the reports or through the claims. We sometimes unsee opportunities, business opportunities that they are telling us what the customer wants, wishes, expects from us on one side. On the other side, it's a very, very easy way to understand where the process is missing. Where are we failing? Where can we rethink the process? Who is missing? Maybe the process was initiated 4 years ago and there were some stakeholders. And today, due to the change into the market, we need to include certain other stakeholders, other departments that have a lot to say about that problem. And we are not doing that, okay? So let's go more to the basics and let's talk more with the whole organization in order to get these real insights about the pains that the customer is suffering, I would say.
Absolutely. To listeners out there, we will have the opportunity to take maybe one or two more questions. So please keep your questions flowing to Elizabeth. Just a last question from my side, Elizabeth. How do you imagine customers' experience to look like 5 years from now? And what do you expect technology to change for customer experience?
Well, on one side, if you make me think about in 5 years' time, for sure, all technologies we were mentioning will be much more developed, will be more solid, more robust. We were going to be able to automate and probably get there a lot of efficiencies in certain processes that today are maybe more time consuming or resource consuming. So probably there we will have great opportunities to improve and to make more efficient certain processes. But for me, I'm sorry if I might disappoint someone saying that, but for me, people is people and they will be people in 5 years' time as well. So probably the roots of the pain that we are seeing today are not going to differ that much in 5 years' time, okay? And then that brings me again to what I was telling you at the beginning about the importance of first understanding the culture, first understanding the customer, first understanding the way that this customer is surrounded. And for that, there is a tool I also use a lot to understand the context in where I'm playing, which is the pestle. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but I recommend you to really try to frame the reality in where you're working with the pestle. If someone has doubts about that, please just contact me. But probably in a sense, there are going to be not that many changes, okay? maybe in the way we approach the complexity of the pains, yes, but the essence of the pain itself is not going to be that different. At the end of the day, what we want, we all as customers, we are all customers, we want to be heard. We want to have a personalized approach to us. We want them to tell us what we are interested on and not to explain us things it's not relevant for us. We want to be recognized and appreciated as customers, and that's not going to change. So any effort that I'm going to try to do in the customer journey for the coming years, of course, it's going to be considering the new technologies on the table, but I'm going to try to keep very close to this voice of the customer in the very pure form, which is talking to the customer.
Absolutely. I think nothing can beat having the first-hand information, talking to the customer. I think
Absolutely.
it's going to be the core and crux and fundamentals of the entire CX. Well, one last question from you, from the audience, from Aarti again. What has been driving key CX strategies at Nissan? Is it more from acting on customer feedback or mapping customer user journey and observations, or a fine balance of both? I think you
It has
answered
been a,
part two.
it has been a balance. It has been a balance. Thanks. We have a powerful MI department in Japan and also in Europe. People who are working just to understand these changes I was telling you in the trends, in the behavior of the customer, in the reality he's living. Whenever you have to study a customer, you need to understand, as I was telling you, the context, and this context is political, it's economical, it's technological, socio-demographical, it's legal, so and it's environmental as well. And these are the areas that the PESTEL, for example, analyzes. So, of course, you need to work on all this comprehension about where this customer is living, which are the circumstances, the realities he's facing, and the pains. And there you are going to have two kinds of developments. The one related to the product, understanding which technologies are every time more valuable for the customer. But on top of that, how you're going to readdress the processes you work with, and how you're going to adequate as well the services you're offering him. So there are a lot of levels where you have to combine this understanding of the customer.
Got it. I have one last personal question from my side, Elspeth. I hope you have time to answer that.
Of course.
Uh, Considering we are living in GDPR, data
Oh,
protection laws, and cookieless world, the role of a CX leader slash marketing leader is becoming insane. So what are your thoughts around it? How difficult, how crucial the role of a CX leader or a marketing leader is going to evolve in the next couple of years?
I would say that everyone in our organization has to have a little bit of responsibility of CX. I mean, it's impossible to think that one only person, just because in his title it says customer experience, is the final responsible for that. The aim is that all the organization feels co-responsible in trying to really get closer to this customer and understanding the needs and making their own refined tuning of the processes and deliveries that he does to provide more value. Okay. So in terms of the GDPR, this is probably one of the biggest nightmares we have in Europe, at least. We are every time more and more jealous of our privacy. We are more and more jealous about who are we delivering and sharing our data with. So in this sense, the only way I think to really be able to overcome the difficulties and constraints of the GDPR is by providing genuine, trustful, and interesting content. If you are providing value, people will accept to share data with you. But for that, you have to make this real effort about customizing and understanding what they want to be set. And we come back again to the origin of understanding pains and understanding needs. It's going to be very difficult to provide with valuable content and valuable information to them so that they accept to establish a relationship with you if you haven't done the effort to fully and really and honestly to understand what is concerning him. And that's not about technology, that's about sitting and understanding. So let's talk more about evolutioning our way of working rather than revolutioning our way. And And let's try to be at least realistic on how we have to exploit technology, which is there and is useful, and we have to go for that, but without forgetting the basics. And the basics are in the people and in the organization, I would say.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show. We've come to the end
Likewise.
of another great, episode with another great CX leader,
Thank you.
Elisabeth Sanchez from the Nissan Motor Corporation. Uh, Once again, thank you for everyone who's joined us on the podcast. We'll come back to you with another interesting CX leader next month. Until then, signing off, your host, Manuel. Looking forward for the next episode. Thank you very much and have a great day.